So, okay, if you can just give me your name.
My name is Luke Russell.
Okay, and your research topic?
My research topic was, my research was entitled Building Step Relationships, Emerging Adult Stepchildren's Perceptions and Experiences of Their Step-Parents.
Okay, and what did your research find?
My research finding, I was looking specifically at how stepchildren build affinity with their step-parent. So, how do you build a relationship with your step-parent wherein you like one another? What I found was that there was three broad categories within stepchildren's responses when they were discussing the history of their relationships. The first was the presence, and this is how often they see or interact with their step-parent, and to what extent. I had kind of subcategories within presence in terms of contact being how often and involvement being how much. The second broad category was authenticity, and this involved the depth of conversations they engaged in with their step-parents, how trustworthy they felt that their step-parents were, and honest, and their realness, which again kind of gets into that honesty, but it was how their step-parents presented themselves. And then finally, the third category, and one of the more interesting ones, is clout. And clout I defined as the social capital that a step-parent kind of held with their stepchildren. And there was two kind of ways that it's developed. Some stepchildren, or step-parents rather, were described as having kind of a personal clout, and this meant they respected them individually because they brought something into their lives, or because they just respected their interests, or even their differences. Sometimes the differences were reasons they might maybe didn't respect their step-parents, but other times it was really helpful. And familial clout, which was essentially they held respect for their step-parent because they're a really great husband or wife to my parent, or they were, the parent to my sibling or half-sibling. Sometimes that was more meaningful than even if we disagree about politics or religion or what I should be doing with my life. You know, you're my family. I respect you for that reason. And all these kind of resulted in a couple types of affinity. A lot of people described at first having a confrontational relationship. Step-parents are often kind of strangers, and at the beginning sometimes it's hard to negotiate things. Not all the time, but that was common. But generally, I'd say almost all of the relationships I looked at progressed on to either one where they felt they were tolerating one another, even though they might have had differences, they still respected one another and interacted well, or becoming close and feeling like they really got along with their stuff.
So can you tell me what the impact of private giving has been on your ability to do research?
Right. So the private giving definitely allowed me to start earlier, which was a huge help. This took me about a year and a half to actually do the study, and about half a year planning, I would say. And considering, I'm a busy student, I did a lot. I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have been able to conduct all the interviews, transcribe the interviews, and code them all if I was taking classes at the time. So definitely having the Undergraduate Research Fund was really helpful in allowing me to get this whole thing started. I'm going to go off on the sidetrack again.
Sure.
So the reason I started the study was I was able to, through the honors program, take a graduate class. And in that class I read an article by Ganong and Coleman, Fine and Martin, on step relationships, where they talked about some things they wanted to do as a follow-up. They never did it, so I figured I'd take a shot at it.
Great.
And I was able to come up with a lot of this great research in my findings, and a large part of that was thanks to the funding. And now my life's kind of on a different course than it was, in a really great way. I had some ideas about what I wanted to do afterwards. I've now been accepted into a PhD program. I'll be working under Ganong and Coleman.
Wow.
Working on a lot of post-divorce relationship research. So it's actually an incredible opportunity that now I have the chance to work with two people who I essentially idolized for the past year and a half. And now I'm going to be able to work with them, and it's completely thanks to the fact that I was able to get funded and supported. So that's incredibly meaningful. This research was a large reason why they were interested in me. And not only were they interested in me, they've provided me with a lot of support financially to come and help them out with the research.
Great. Thanks a lot.